I will share with you the 4 Figma skills I learned when I'm using this application that elevated my design game, and I believe it will also help you as well. So let's get started. So the first thing we need when we actually are trying to improve the UI design of, let's say, this particular screen, I am looking for alignment. And many beginner designers know the importance of alignment, and they just go, okay, they are eyeballing it in the application, that looks close or that looks farther away. And as you have 50, 100 screens, it gets very hard. What you can do though is you can press Shift R on Figma, and then you can actually bring some rulers in. And I'm gonna show how to do this in a second. But if I have a particular, let's say, margins I want on the left and the right side of the screen, I'm just gonna bring one ruler after I press Shift R, and I want it at 24 pixels, and I'm gonna bring another one, and I want it to be around 351 maybe. So I'm gonna zoom in to actually put it in the right place, and that's 24 pixels as well. Now that I have these rulers, it is actually a lot more easier for me to actually align items by the red dot here. So I'm gonna do these as well. I'm gonna move them here. I think they are almost touching, and that's good. And I am looking at here, and I realize, oh, my icon here maybe needs to move a bit more left, and my settings here maybe a bit more here. And yeah, and that looks a lot better in terms of the alignment here. So the next thing we can do to improve the UI design of the screen is to actually fix its spacing. And one of the best tools on Figma that you can use to actually is to use a layout grid. And I'm just going to remove and create a new one. So in here, press the plus button, and I'm going to pick the layout grid to be 8 pixels. You really want to multiples of 4 because that is how actual screen sizes adjust the best for you. So pick 8 pixels, and I really like it to be 20% just to see the spacing well. So now each of these squares are 8, 8, 8, 8, and this really lets me to space things very well. So when I'm looking at here, I'm seeing the distance between these two items here are roughly 30, 32, and let's say I want it to be a bit higher, a bit more closer. So I want the distance between these two items to be around maybe 24. So I'm around here. I'm giving an or taking here. Okay, and that's good. And then I look at here, and what I realize is the distance between these two items is 4 squares. So 4 multiplied by 8 is 32. And I'm like, okay, so that's 2, and these will also have the same one. So I want that to be as well the same. Each distance between each of these squares is 32 pixels. So what I want is to make sure these are just a bit more closer, and I want to make sure the inside spacing is still smaller than the outside spacing, meaning the distance between the pickguard text and these boxes is actually larger than the spacing between the sub children of this card group, meaning it should be greater than 32 pixels. And I'm gonna pick it around like 48, so that should be 6 squares, 3, 5, maybe then a bit lower. So I'm gonna go around 3, 6, so maybe around here is so 3, 5, 5.5, 6. Yeah, that works a bit there, and that looks pretty good for eyeballing. And then what I'm going to do is I am gonna check the distance between these two, and I'm gonna match it. Actually, I'm just gonna make it 48 pixels as well, so around here, and I can do this and I can check, and I'm roughly there. Yeah, and that looks pretty good so far in terms of spacing. Okay. And the last thing I'm going to mention is the coloring tool for Figma, and that is, so if you click on here to change the full color, what you can see is HSP. Many designers that are beginning in Figma, especially if they are coming from, let's say, graphic design background, are actually setting their color here to be RGB. And if you're a developer, that's fine, but when you are working as a designer, you want to set it to HSP because this lets you create color variation the best method. Meaning, if I have, let's say, 2 colors here, usually in an, let's say, in a mobile application or web application, you won't have distinctly different colors of, let's say, first green, then green here. What you will have most often is variations of the first color. So it would be, let's say, the second color would be a bit more lighter, and then this one would be, let's say, a bit more darker, and that will be throughout the application. So you really want to set it to HSP, and we are going to use HSP to actually change the colors of it here. It's set in HSP. Let's say if we can a bit more, let's say go here, maybe I want to make it more purple, and I want to actually not see these rulers as well, and that is a bit more blue, and I can go around here, and what I'm gonna do is I am gonna pick the color here, and I'm gonna darken it just a smidge, and I'm gonna match that color here. So I'm gonna match this color. Ooh, that doesn't work. Let's do it again. That worked, and that looks pretty good. And I actually want to make this a, let's say, much more. I'm gonna pick this one, and I'm gonna make my stroke to be a lot more whiter, and I'm gonna make it pick this one, and yeah, and that looks pretty good. And these cards right now look too dark to me, so I want these to be this color as well. So I'm gonna go here, pick one, and yeah, that does look better. I'm gonna go here, pick it again, gonna click this one, pick it, I'm gonna click this one, pick it, I'm gonna click here, and I'm gonna add a stroke here, FFF, and that's too powerful, maybe 20%, that is still too powerful, maybe overlay, and I want this to be inside, maybe, not overlay, but maybe soft light, maybe, guys, maybe 2, just to make sure we give the choice is selected. So I'm gonna pick the first one that is selected, that is good, and yeah, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so we are marking it selected with the soft there. Yep, that works. All right, and if you guys understand how to use these 4 different tools, Figma Skills, Unity Master, to actually make your designs better, that's great. And if you want to find out how to actually practice design skills, especially UI design skills, check this video next.